So, Chris, in the last segment, you basically walked us through two different tracks here that are going on with Johnson and Johnson. One is the one that has made the news very recently, and that is about the identification of asbestos in the Johnson and Johnson baby powder and shower-to-shower powder. You've also told us about other potential carcinogens that are in these powders because the talc is mined in in a mine, and you don't just there's no just pure talc veins or deposits. There's other stuff in there, and that other stuff in there has the potential to be carcinogenic. So you are representing women who have contracted ovarian cancer as a function of applying the powder to their genital area, which is not totally marketed for that, but that's the presumption, right? I mean, you could put it all over your body. How many women are we talking about, Chris? And how did people come to suspect in both instances that there was asbestos in this Johnson & Johnson powders and that there were other carcinogens that could lead to ovarian cancer?
Well, I want to be clear about this, Sam, as well, because there is evidence that we don't think that there's any such thing as pure talc. But even if there were such a thing, we think that talcum powder, even if it were pure, is not is a potential carcinogen when it comes in contact with ovarian tissue. But I digress for a moment. The truth of the matter is that they have known this for decades. In 1982, researchers at Harvard conducted an epidemiology study that basically demonstrated that there was a 50% or so increased risk of ovarian cancer with women who use talcum powder products.
Wow.
That statistic has been shown repeatedly. There have been multiple studies over the years. There's most recently the Canadian regulatory authorities have proposed that talcum powder is a potential carcinogen and recommended that women be informed of that fact. The truth of the matter is that various national and international semi-regulatory authorities have been presented with the issue, but and the World Health Organization has listed it as a potential carcinogen, a possible carcinogen. Some of the other regulatory authorities have initially labeled it as a probable carcinogen, but when industry weighed in, we believe with undue influence on the process, they deferred the question. And so, in many ways, over the past decades, the issue has been the can has been kicked down the road.
Right.
A lot of the reason why it's really coming to the forefront is that people have stepped forward. Women have stepped forward to say, I think that this is a potential cause of my ovarian cancer, and have tried to bring their cases to court.
How many women are we talking about here? I mean, are we 5, or are we talking tens? How many women?
Well, in the federal system, the federal court system, there are about 10,000 cases currently pending.
Wow.
There are thousands of cases currently pending throughout the state courts throughout the country. There's a trial that's getting ready to begin in January. There have been trials over the past several years, and those trials will continue on into the future.
All right. So, and here's the question, that I find myself asking plaintiff attorneys almost every time I talk to them about a case that involves a corporation selling a product that they had some awareness, some instances total awareness, some suspicions, some reasons to be suspicious that the product they're selling is fundamentally dangerous, even if used properly by the people they're selling it to, and yet they continue to sell it. I mean, do you have any insight? I don't know where, and maybe you should tell us where you are in the course of this case. But do you have insight as to what was the mindset of the executives at this company, that they could have some awareness of these problems and these potential to cause suffering and death, but yet continue to sell it? And it's called baby powder. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's really hard to imagine. But for several years now, there have been non-generic powder manufacturers who have started to include warnings on their products, but not Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson has refused to do that. What makes it even more frustrating, Sam, is that there is a safer alternative for this product. This is not, as I think you alluded, this is not a product that prevents cancer. It's not a product that helps you with diabetes or heart disease. This is a product that is a cosmetic powder, and a lot of powders out there are not a lot, but there are powders out there that are cornstarch, and cornstarch is a reasonably safer alternative, like we use in the law, that could have been substituted for talcum powder years ago, and they decided not to do that.
Why do you think they decided not to do that? Do you have any insight as to that?
I really can't speculate into that. I think the evidence will show that they were in denial about the risk of talcum powder. And they did everything they could to prevent the science and regulatory authorities for really looking at what is a real risk of these powders. I mean, they represented from 1976 forward that their talcum powder products was asbestos-free, and that that asbestos had been eliminated from their body powders.
So, okay, we got about a minute and a half left, Chris. So give me a sense of, like, what if I'm out there and I'm listening to this interview, and I'm worried that maybe I have ovarian cancer, or I know somebody who has ovarian cancer, and I'm worried that I used a lot of this baby powder. Like, what do I do at that point?
Well, I mean, look, if I could back up for a minute, Sam, and I know I got a minute left, but one of the things I really want to tell people is, as a lawyer, I obviously represent people who have already been injured. But one of the things I really try to tell people, and I try to tell everybody that I know, don't use cosmetic talc if you are particularly if you're a woman, and certainly don't use it. There are plenty of other alternatives out there. Use cornstarch. But if you are diagnosed with ovarian cancer, the number one thing you've got to do is go see your doctor. And beyond that, if you feel like you need to consult with an attorney, consult with an attorney. But the primary thing that I emphasize to people is, don't use it. Make sure you see your doctor as soon as you think you have a potential problem. Speak to them about your use of cosmetic powders, and that's it, because it is a particularly cruel disease.
Chris, thanks so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.